Okay, so I'm Thomas Blair. I'm the lead designer. This is Mark Hallish.
Hello.
Today, we're going to talk to you about combat disciplines.
Yes, indeed.
Disciplines in general. So, what is a discipline, Mark?
Well, a discipline. Well, so thus far you've been playing Crowfall. If you've been engaged in a test or whatever, pretty much playing archetypes sort of as a sort of a prepackaged set of abilities and things you can do.
Right.
The idea is with disciplines is you'll be able to mix and match and sort of have a little bit of control over the loadout of your archetype, right? And so that's sort of the idea behind disciplines to help you build the character you customize the character you want to.
And right now we have a loose categorization of them.
Mm-hmm.
We have combat style disciplines, we have exploration disciplines, and we have crafting disciplines. This conversation is about combat disciplines. Here's a list, and we're just going to keep this in the background and keep talking.
Yeah.
You have 4 empty slots on your power tray currently, and you have a page called Disciplines, which has a bunch of little hex shapes in it. Disciplines are items you're going to be able to craft or find in the world, and you can socket them into those slots. Mm-hmm. Some of them will have an appearance item that it grants you. Some of them will have powers that it grants you. Some of them will have stats that they grant you. In general, with the combat ones, we tried to make them little packages, as you can see right here, right? So, for example, what does Assassin do?
Right, so let's see. So we have Assassin. Assassin's going to grant you 2 powers and a stat. Very top row there, you'll see Assassin is going to grant you 2 powers and a stat, right? So it's going to grant you Poison Blade, which is going to basically cause all your damage to overload to the poison type, right? So if you're normally normally doing physical damage or whatever, if you use the Assassin Discipline, you'll start your attacks will use the poison damage type, right? So you'll also get the stealth power, and it also grants you a little bit of attack power. And we have lots of these. The idea is to sort of basically, if anything's cool that an archetype has, kind of possibly that's going to be good discipline grist, right? So you see, for example, a lot of these here. We have one of the ideas that we just started with, for example, the Druid. You saw the very first time, for the first time, basically a custom retaliate power. So that's sort of an idea that we will probably continue to do. So for some of these, you'll notice that a discipline will change the type of retaliate you have, right? So Preserver, for example, right? Say you want more healing, right? Or maybe you like healing, right? So you get the Preserver discipline would let you get the Healing Rain power. It would give you the Arc Druid retaliate, which
is a group heal.
Is a group heal.
Holy crap! Okay.
That
sounds pretty good.
And grant you some support power, right? So I mean, part of the idea behind the combat disciplines too is if we're going to break anything, it's going to be right here. This is going to be the fun stuff, right? So if you say to yourself, what would a knight be like if I gave the knight Healing Rain from the Druid power?
What would the knight be like?
What would that be like?
Right. What would it be like if you gave him? Oh, he already has chain attack. I'm just looking at the options here.
Sure. You can give him Bellow Triumph.
You can Bellow. Yeah.
Why not? Yeah,
Bellow's a good one.
Give him an aim heal. Why not?
We do have some archetypes that are restricted.
Mm-hmm.
For example, for whatever reason, because of stealth.
It's because of stealth, basically, right? I mean,
the Legionnaire got restricted on this one.
Yeah.
Generally, we don't have a lot of restrictions.
Yeah, I mean, so for the most part, the restrictions are going to possibly be gated by, like, for example, animations. So Legionnaire is very custom, very unique model. So some disciplines just may not work with particular body type. But for the most part, we want to try to make this as open as we can, and really leave it wide open for you to really explore and try to do some interesting stuff.
So I'll get a base knight, and I'll promote at some point, and that will give me some certain shifting in the powers. Mm-hmm. But at that point, I'm pretty much like everybody else. Loading this out is going to make me completely different. The build order that I train skills passively through the skill system, there's so many that you're going to be not like anybody else there either.
Exactly.
So the characters should feel vastly different from each other at the end of the day. And then I noticed something down here on Commander.
Oh yeah, you mean the unique item?
The unique item that they get.
So part of the the design with disciplines is to have basically have a physically, physical representation of that discipline on that's visible on the character, right? So if I see you out there and I spot you coming at you, and I notice the battle horn hanging from your belt, I'll know that, wait a minute, he's this guy is using the commander discipline, for example. So if I know, if I have a lot of game knowledge, I'll be like, okay, he's got, he's carrying, he's got Bellow of Triumph. He's got Strength of the Legion, so I can know something about you just by seeing these things on your character.
And here's some early concept from Mr. Greco.
Mm-hmm.
This is
that would be the battle horn.
That's the battle horn.
I see a Kopesh there, which would mean you're an outrider, I believe.
I do believe Outrider got the Kopesh.
Yes, somewhere.
Let me find the Outrider.
There's only like 70 or
there he
is.
is.
On there. Yeah,
yep.
Outrider. Yep.
He gets the Kopesh.
He gets Kopesh.
And the third item on there was the Executioner's Axe.
That went to the Executioner.
It went to the Executioner.
Right.
Go figure. And the idea being that as many people as possible will be able to either equip it or overload an appearance of that item so that it works and you can actually feel like you have that discipline. And excuse me, and that other people will be able to see and go, oh, he's a commander. Yep. Yada yada yada.
I know what to expect from you.
I think Commander needs a little more siege power in it. It feels like it's missing a stat. It's probably something to do with siege weaponry.
Indeed, yeah, there usually is a stat in there.
So yeah, it feels like Commander needs some siege weaponry stuff. If we look back to Shadowbane, Commander was the discipline that enabled a lot of that gameplay. Now, will some of these disciplines unlock gameplay like that?
Oh, well, I certainly think so, right? I mean, that's sort of the the idea to sort of let you mix and match and make a character that you think is interesting from that perspective.
Now, do we think that? So I'm looking at the Berserk one. Do we think this will be as good as the Berserkers if other people can use it? Yeah,
that is a very good concern, right? So the idea behind these is these may not be as strong. We will basically be individually tuning these, right? So if, for example, you may get the Berserker power, but we probably wouldn't let you, maybe get Bull Rush, so you can, because that's sort of Berserk is sort of the Myrmidon's big.
That's his thing.
That's his thing, right? So we're not going to give you full on, Myrmidon like Gestalt, but
that's a good word.
Gestalt. It's a word. So we're not necessarily gonna give you that. We're gonna make these as balanced as we can. So have we mentioned anything about balancing and campaigns, that sort of deal?
We have not.
Are we going to right now?
We can mention, sure.
Okay, so I mean, philosophically speaking, right? So say we go live and Mountain Soul for whatever. What does that do? That probably was not going to be OP.
That was probably not going to end up OP.
Let's see. This is a good OP one. Tree Folk.
You know what? Heals always end up being...
Okay, sure. Bodyguard, right? Say Bodyguard just winds up being, like, just ridiculously good, right? And even with the fact that, the aim heal you get from Bodyguard is one we specifically designed that we think is that is okay, that everybody can have. We're going to hold off making any changes in between seasons or
campaigns.
So essentially, if because we would hate to basically make you have to flush your build in the middle of
we essentially don't want you to nerf you in the middle of a campaign,
right? So we're going to try to hold off any sort of big balance changes till after that, right? So that basically, if there's a flavor of the month, then
it's actually a flavor of the campaign.
Flavor of the campaign,
because we may nerf it for the campaign that, let's say, starts up the next day. Mm-hmm. Those people won't have the exact same. We want to fix and balance things, but we do kind of enjoy the.
Well, it's the roll of the dice, right? I mean, we internally, obviously, we're not going to put up something we think is busted. We really won't. But the fact of the matter is, you get a million eyes on something, you're gonna discover people, things that 100 people won't.
Absolutely.
Are you guys ready to take some questions?
Yeah, we can take some questions. Yeah.
Okay. So, did you say that stealth will be available to every archetype except the Legionnaire?
Did we say that stealth will be available to every archetype except the Legionnaire. According to this, if you have hide granted to you, which not everybody does have hide granted to them, and you're not a Legionnaire. So presumably, if you have hide, for example, like the Ranger, they could take this and get the full stealth capabilities. Obviously, the Assassin is going to have it built in. However, the Knight does not have hide. So he would probably only be able to take a discipline that had hide and not the full stealth package. Because we don't want a full invisible game.
Right, and it's kind of like the Berserk thing, right? We don't want to give everybody the full, a full, because stealth is that's like a big ticket item, right? We build, that's a cornerstone character thing, right? So, we're not going to just give that to everybody full on, right? So
next question.
Okay, when can we expect to see disciplines?
When can we expect to see disciplines? I am hoping, if not by the first of the Throne War releases, that it's the milestone after. So either at the tail end of this milestone or the beginning of the next milestone.
Very soon.
We're already designing. We can already make these powers. We just can't put them on an object yet and equip them on a character. That is the next stage.
We're chomping at the bit.
But we are ready to go.
I saw 2 fanatic disciplines with different powers. Is that just an error?
I saw 2 fanatic powers with different... There is... Who is that? That person should be in QA. There's Fanatic, and then there's Fanatic.
Okay, looks like I need to come up with a different name for one of those Fanatics.
Crazed Fanatic.
See the 100...
See, look at that.
800 people will find what 10 people cannot.
Thank you, whoever that is.
That was Sights.
All right.
Thank you, Sights.
Look, and I just scrolled super quick.
Dude, they're screenshotting they're like taking pictures, man.
They are looking. They are excited for disciplines as we are.
This is going to be on the internet in about 5 minutes, if it's not already.
Yep.
Will there be a disc that gives you track or the ability to track other players like the disc in Shadowbane? I guess they mean discipline.
Discipline. Will there be a discipline that gives you track similar to the track in Shadowbane? Now, some of those special functionality ones we didn't include on this list. This list is based totally off of
stuff we can do today.
If we can build it today, it's on this list.
Right. So there's actually, I fully expect as we develop new archetypes and new things come on board, we're going to add to this list. Right. This is not a this is the start. This is our start, basically.
Right. Also, tracking specifically is an exploration thing. Right. So you would find that in one of our other discipline presentations that we're going to give today under the exploration disciplines and not the combat ones. These are pure combat power ones.
Will the resource required to use a discipline power adjust to the archetype?
That is a great question. Will the discipline required to use a power adjust to the archetype? Yes. Currently, we don't have that functionality, but ideally we can say that if a knight equips Leeching Seed, it uses mana as its resource type, and if a ranger equipped it, it would use energy, yada, yada, yada. So, absolutely, because then all we're doing there, if we don't do that, is we would limit the amount of stones you know what I mean?
Right.
And we might as well put a restriction on it. We really don't want to do that. We want to let you guys go crazy with this, find all of the super OP ones, have a good time. We'll fix the really egregious ones, but exploration has always been a huge intention of ours. We just haven't built the tech for it yet.
Right.
I mean, it's just, and again, we're ready to go. We know a lot more here 16 months after Kickstarter, I think it is, or is it? No, we're 13 months after Kickstarter. 15 months.
13, 15?
15, yeah. We're 15 months after Kickstarter here, and we know a lot more answers today than we did 15 months ago. Next question.
Disciplines can have the same name as archetypes. Won't that be confusing? Assassin is a discipline name according to the spreadsheet, but is also an archetype.
Yeah, I don't think Todd will let that fly.
Actually, the question will we have multiple names that map between archetype and disciplines? And it's funny is if you look back to the Shadowbane days,
I remember.
Blade Master. Now it wasn't an archetype, but it granted the Blade Mastery stat. And I mean, it's just Todd likes to cross names, which is why we have a god named Hero, who was the first crow, and Hero could also be taken as your character name. So, yes, names can and will be changed a lot. I wouldn't set your flag in any of these. But again, it's our first pass, and if it's too confusing, then we'll go ahead and change it. Next question.
How easy or hard will it be to get these? How many can we apply? Point system, etc.
The question is how easy or hard will it be to get these, and how many can you put on a character?
So you're going to craft these, for the most part, right?
Craft or get
or just purchase them from whatever
via craft or their store, whatever. It's
right.
Their creation is generally crafted, and if there are NPC drops required in this, they're dropped as additives, so you still need to go see a crafter to make these things.
Yep. So I mean, it's like anything else in the game, right? You're gonna craft them. You're gonna have to get the recipes for them if you want to craft them, or you're gonna have to go and purchase them from somebody who's making them. So,
part two of that question is how many can you equip?
How many can you equip? Was it one?
So right now we're loosely saying one of each of the three kinds. And then on the design side of the house, we're going to start shifting around on the various vessels, how many combats, how many exploration. And it could be that is even a quality of the vessel thing where the higher the quality of the vessel, the more you can equip. We're not sure on that one. And again, it's always rough to talk multiple sigmas out from where you're at. Once we have a general idea, and then once we get in, we may be like, man, this totally sucks. Or you guys play it and you're like, man, I really want this plus this, or this would actually be really cool, and we're like, yeah, you know what? It really does make a lot of sense.
I mean, we're so certain the feeling's probably one or a couple of these.
We've always felt at least three.
Yeah.
We didn't have them down to category until we came up with categories somewhat recently, as we noticed there was a vast disparity between the kinds of things that you would get from these.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
How many disciplines are you targeting for release?
How many disciplines are you targeting for release? Wow. Lots. Yeah, I mean, it's not...
sort of the...
I think if I look at the Shadowbane wiki, they had 50 disciplines total, and I think we are easily 50 in each of the types. So again, we want to give you guys as many options as possible, because the exploration game is in that, right? So this list is big, and I can only see it getting bigger as we invent things like turret style pets and other kinds of mechanics that don't exist. Again, the combat one, we went in this with the say, hey, if we had to make all of these today, could we? And the answer is yes.
Can we see archetypes with negative or detrimental effects paired with stronger than normal benefits?
I mean, specifically for disciplines, probably not, but I mean that there is sort of that idea with the advantages, disadvantages, you know what I'm talking about?
The advantage and disadvantage system? You're right.
For that, but not necessarily for disciplines.
Yeah, right now the disciplines are all goodies.
Yeah.
They're all additives.
All good stuff.
There's nothing negative. We will see if we need that. Right, generally that's kind of your design blowout hatch if you need to. Like, this thing is just so good, we need to take away all of your strength. Which generally is like, well, that sucks. Why did you make that?
Yeah, we want these to be all good, all candy, all the time.
Yeah, it's just which variety of candy do you take?
Right.
Okay, so we got a couple minutes left.
Okay.
What if a Minotaur picks Berserk? Will then he have two Berserks?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
So if a Berserker... If a Myrmidon took Berserker discipline, what would happen beyond the universe collapsing?
Yeah,
in the multiple buckets of accumulation,
and that's a very fair question, and that's something that's going to have to come out through play, right? I mean, my initial compunction is no, we don't let you load out two of the same, but who knows? Maybe it's okay. I mean, that to me that's going to come out through play.
And you saw how the power worked, so there might be a bunch of stuff that kind of, again, collides
or just doesn't work. Like a lot of times, something like Berserk, we're very specifically saying, okay, you can do this for 15 seconds, and this is how long it lasts, and we're making very specific. There's a lot of assumptions we made as far as balance, as far as like how to do Myrmidon in a way that's not completely.
If we wanted to be really fancy, though, we could just say, "Hey, your Berserk lasts another 3 seconds if you already have."
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of different ways.
There's a lot of different ways we can handle this. We're just not prepared at this moment to say.
Right, it's definitely going to be this way or the other way or whatever, because we just don't really know yet.
Okay, last question.
Last question.
Will the discipline runes be monster dropped?
Will the discipline runes be monster dropped? And as I said before, they're going to be crafted.
Yeah, it's gonna be crafted.
If you need to go kill a monster, they're going to drop an additive that goes into a craftable recipe, and then a crafter will make this for you. The only way for us to make a vibrant crafting economy and player-driven economy is to funnel stuff through an essentially a merchant class. Right. So they make them, they provide them. You provide them with the materials to make those things. Right. So this isn't a one-way street.
Right. It's the combat people will go and gather the materials that the crafters will use to make the stuff to sell back to the kinds of big. It's the wheel of life, basically.
And we hope to make it work.
Yeah. And as far as these are concerned, the disciplines themselves are concerned. I would expect that some of these will require more difficult to obtain drops than others, right? Especially the really good ones. So I would fully expect that.
I still enjoy that Shadowbane story of the Commander Runestone on the one server.
Oh, right, yeah.
And there was a guild that essentially farmed that mob and kept him on lockdown, so no one else on the server had access to that particular rune for months.
Yep.
People are
campaigns.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thankfully, like I said, we'll have campaigns, so that will only happen for one
campaign.
Cycle. And then be addressed.
That's it, guys. Thank you very
Great.
much.
All right.
Okay, so let's talk about exploration disciplines.
Let's do that.
Okay, let me zoom in on this. And so what's the key difference with exploration disciplines, Mark?
So exploration disciplines primarily are going to be, obviously they're going to be combat related.
Sure.
Right. You're always going to have some sort of physical representation. So you'll have your torch or your potion, spyglass, whatever.
What is unique about these items?
Obviously they're directly related to what they do.
Okay.
Right? So the spyglass is going to be basically the inroads to you're getting the scout discipline, for example.
I think the key thing with all of these is that they do something unique.
Oh, right, sure. Totally.
Right? They open up a piece of gameplay that just doesn't exist anywhere else, or we'll see where that lands, but they do something unique. For example, the torch, which you'll notice it has an inventory slot and it has a use item of torch. So this is going to be an item that's going to go in your hand, and we haven't figured out the exact mechanic of it yet because we haven't implemented it yet. But if it's a hold, right click, or whatever, it will do something.
Right. It will do something in the world. So you'll go up to, whatever it is, do some sort of action, and then, basically your discipline, you will do that thing, whether it be, spyglass or, in the case of acrobat, like grappling hook, special movement type, that nature.
I saw somebody in the stream asking where Bounty Hunter was, and this is where Bounty Hunter was basically in this category of discipline. We had combat, we have exploration, and we have the crafting and harvesting ones are in that one bucket. And this is where you get a lot of fun game behaviors, like Wolf Brother, for example.
Exactly. Right. So, your pets, for example, right? So, if you summon wolves, animator, right? You're going to have your summon golems, a lot of specialized sort of cool sorts of behaviors, utility sorts of things, sky's the limit, really, right? So, So, for example, fishing rod, right? That's another good one, right? Another MMO standby.
Our staples.
Right. So all the things you would expect coming to you from the exploration disciplines.
Yes, and I think we should also mention that we don't want to be bound by any list, because some of these just may not make it. This is our as we start building these things and laying out what we want them to do, this is one of the things that we think they can do. Yeah.
And this list, unlike the combat we were trying to do, basically stick to things we could do like today, implement. These obviously are a little more going to require more tech. So maybe some of these won't see the light of day, but obviously these are ones we're hoping to get in there.
And I think again, it's more it's differentiation that you can see on your character where. Yes, the knights generally look the same for now until we get face and hair customization in, and everyone starts flying their guild colors. So that's going to make them feel different. But this is even more of that. If you have a whip on, you know that guy is a tracker.
Right, or a fishing rod. Right, hey, that guy's gonna go fishing. I mean, obviously there's cool.
You're like,
I mean,
oh, that's an easy kill because that guy's fishing by himself.
yeah. Well, I mean, there's also let's not forget the role playing possibilities as well, right? Maybe your character enjoys fishing on the weekends when he's not laying waste to countrysides and
or Undertaker because he enjoys collecting organs.
Exactly, and that is
vessels.
actually very important. Collecting good organs for your vessels.
Because you absolutely need it. Okay, so this was the exploration list. We're going to go and let's look at some of those items.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Bear
Right.
Trap,
Bear Trap,
Spyglass, and the Undertaker Saw.
the bone saw.
You look at that. I mean, that would look kind of cool hanging from your waist.
Yeah, you take that guy seriously, probably. He's like,
if you lose to that guy, he's going to chop your body up.
Yeah.
Collect some organs for crafting future vessels. Okay, so we can go into. Let's look at the one we just looked at. Yeah, that's the one we just looked at. Crafting disciplines.
Crafting splits. Plus.
We have just not gotten to crafting yet. Again, we hope that this is part of our late summer deliverable.
Mm-hmm.
So people will be able to feel the full loop. And some of the people who have been kind of waiting for us to get through combat and get to crafting will once again return to start playing with crafting systems. What do we have here?
So, I mean, it's kind of similar thing, right? So, I mean, you will basically, so there'll be recipes associated with these, right?
Yep. These are the ones the other ones we haven't seen any recipes yet.
Mm-hmm.
These ones actually, each of them grants a special inventory series of slots that specific things can go in there. A use item, as we just discussed over in the exploration ones, potentially. Some stats, potentially, like engineer, and or tons and tons of recipes.
Right. So again, people will be able to, see it coming, basically see the pick and shovel, be like, hey, maybe this guy's a blacksmith, maybe this guy's a swordsmith. Be able to see what you are, basically advertise your, maybe even help to advertise your services. Be like, hey, you have this? Do you have this recipe to make this particular, this particular gun I need, or
right,
need a fishing pole? You got a fishing pole? You make those,
You need a stonemason to rebuild those walls, or to make to upgrade the walls on whatever structure you're doing. Cook, as we just saw, the food system just came online. Right now, we are just dropping the end item like Hellcat brisket,
sure,
and zombies.
What was it? Zombie surprise.
Zombie surprise.
Right. What's the surprise?
I don't know yet.
That's right. Try it and find out. No.
But those items will drop as components in the future, and or you're going to have to take those pieces to a cook and turn them into something useful.
Can you make me some zombie surprise from my zombie remains?
My zombie intestines or whatever it is. Brewmaster, similar depending on how much we go into the harvesting of things that would go into brews. And then we're down into necromancer. I'm really looking forward to actually building necromancer as a crafting profession, just because we really haven't been building the archetype vessels as things yet.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people are still thinking of them as like characters,
as your standard MMO character, right?
Yeah.
And they haven't got over that hump yet. That, well, no, I can be very good as a knight, and I have equal training as a myrmidon, and whatever I need to play tonight. Rather than jumping to a character, I actually swap to a different vessel, and my skills could be equally as good. I don't have to double train or start him as an alt.
Yeah. I mean,
character.
That's really cool stuff.
So I'm really looking forward to building that one. And we have Greco went through and built us a couple of.
Again, right, the items that will display what disciplines you have loaded up at that time, right? So we have the pick, and then we got the cleaver, I think, right? And then
that's the pick. Yeah, that's
what is it? What's that
who gets the cleaver?
Will it be the cook, maybe?
He went through and just clearly the blacksmith. I would think the cook would.
Yeah, maybe it is cook.
Or
it's actually listed in this one.
No,
Or the necromancer. That could be a body cleaver.
Yes, that could in fact be a body cleave. That is crazy. Anyways, this is again what we're thinking with disciplines for the crafting one. Crafting is a little more. It's not as solid as the combat ones are, right? Because we haven't started on that system yet. That will come later in the summer. So,
How will tracking work?
how will tracking work? So, since we haven't built it, it's a best guess at this point, where you will be able to potentially pop something and mark an individual and follow them to a spot. Again, we haven't really started digging into that one yet.
A lot of different ways that could go, basically.
There's a bunch of ways.
Implemented them several different ways on these several different MMOs we have both worked on. So,
Yeah. If I remember, the Shadowbane version was very similar to the EverQuest version,
Yeah,
where it had a window and you picked somebody and it basically gave you a marker to go find them.
I'm sure we'll do a little better than text on the screen, but
Yeah.
Will there be a common resource needed to craft disciplines?
Will there be a common resource needed to craft disciplines? I'm not sure yet. I'm guessing it will take stone or something because they are actually.
It's a. Is it not just a what do you call them?
A runestone?
Runestone, yes.
Yes, we've been calling them runestones. They look very similar to the Shadowbane ones because I think we all really like that icon of all the various shapes and stones with their unique symbols on them. So stone, I would guess, would probably be, and then something thematic related to that specific discipline sounds like it would be something we would do.
Wolf brother, can we ride the wolf?
Can we ride
the wolf?
You can certainly summon and have him fight with you, as is the intention with the pet system. Whether he can be used as a mount, I'm not sure yet. I mean, there's no reason.
I mean, I'm sure one of these, never say never.
Right.
Let's say that.
It doesn't seem unreasonable.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not like they're asking for a flaming wolf.
Yeah, exactly. We could probably give you a flaming wolf too, if that's that would be pretty crazy. Flaming wolf.
Wolf brother, no wolf sister.
Wolf brother, no wolf sister was the question. I don't know that we were intentionally being gender biased here. It was just that and Winter's Rose have been two of the item names that Todd has been talking about for almost 2 years. It was always the blowing the horn to summon your wolf as a wolf brother, and I'm not sure where he got that, and or finding Winter's Rose as the rare additive for all kinds of crafting recipes. Winter's Rose only coming from the dregs or something like that. But yeah, you made your sword flaming with Winter's Rose, and the wolf brother summoned the wolves.
Are disciplines attached to a vessel or a crow?
Are disciplines attached to a vessel or a crow? And our current thought is they are attached to the vessel. The only thing attached to the crow is your skill training, which morphs when you enter a vessel, and it is limited by the capabilities of that vessel, which would be the type of vessel and the quality of vessel. And then you will load up that vessel.
Oh, they want to know about the Undertaker discipline and collecting organs.
Undertaker.
More about the organs.
Again, because it's different, I think is where was Undertaker in this? It was under exploration. I think it was in both, if I'm not mistaken. It is.
Oh yeah.
Right. So it is yet another way to get body parts as a way to create vessels.
Yeah.
Right. And we've been joking for a long time that literally you were throwing people into a wood chipper and taking the best parts and making the vessels. We'll come up with more thematic names once we get down to making that actual crafting profession. But that's kind of the general idea is it's essentially body parts that make the cooler vessels.
So will the Undertaker then use a wood chipper as his equipable item?
Well, since they don't have powder, they don't have power. They're going to use the bone saw to take interesting components.
Can I harvest my kills' heads for displaying in the Eternal Kingdom?
Can I harvest my kills' heads for displaying in the Eternal Kingdom? So that's always been one of the early ideas, was that you'd be able to make heads on pikes if you wanted to decorate that way. I don't know the specific mechanic we'll get into. If you need to target the corpse and it generates something
Maybe head collector is a discipline. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. I'm not sure the mechanics.
Will non-Ganetians be able to use flintlocks?
Will non-Ganetians be able to use flintlocks? And the answer to that is right now, the flintlock and the rapier are a bound paired item. So the answer is no, you will not unless you have the ability to use those.
Yeah.
And that falls under our weapon animation design. Generally, we don't allow a archetype to jump to different weapon types unless we've built the animations for that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's kind of a combat question, but it is discipline related. The idea is, for example, you probably saw that you can more or less, steal certain, not steal, but basically as a combat discipline, obtain versions of different archetypes powers. The idea is we will have some sort of generic animations for the, like for example, if obliterate, you want the obliterate combo from Knight as combat discipline, just hypothetically, you would do that using some standard generic animations that we made specifically for your archetype to do that combo.
Correct.
Right. So
yeah, in fact, the animators just finished doing those some of those animations a couple weeks ago. So we now have like a generic cast or a generic cast loop. Mm-hmm. So we can just kind of
generic hit, generic.
Right. I need to cast a buff or something. I just throw my hand in the air
mm-hmm.
and wave it like I just don't care. And that can be used across all of the archetypes.
Right.
So
with respect to abilities, sharing animations or weapon types, not unless your archetype has access to that.
Correct.
Will promotion classes be hybrids of their base class, or will a DPS promotion class be true DPS, for example?
So will promotion classes be hybrids of the base class, or will they be true DPS classes?
Well,
it's a DPS promotion.
Sure, that's a very good question. So the answer is both, is what we're thinking right now. So Confessor, sort of a DPS class at base. One of her promotions will be I don't remember what we're calling it right now, but it's more the DPS, right? The other promotions will be potentially different roles.
Correct.
Right. So you might have a Confessor that's a tank. Wouldn't that be crazy? Right.
So yeah, we definitely didn't want to make the promotion classes 3 flavors of the exact same core role.
That's just not necessarily interesting.
Right, because then you would have 3 DPS Confessor types,
mm-hmm.
and at that point it's just which is the best. Right. Everyone takes the one that does the most damage, right? So that's not interesting to us, and I'm sure you wouldn't find it interesting either. So we want to make the promotion types different roles.
Yeah.
And if we can't think of different roles, then they won't get 3. They might get 2. So we're still floating with the pure like DPS classes, what to give them as 3 specs. And if we can't think of a third good one, or just it's way too far out there, we would just nix it.
Yeah.
Not everything has to be identically the same. We don't want it to be.
Right, and we're more importantly we're going to do something good, right?
Right.
We want this to be good in all cases.
Is there still a falconry discipline like the Wolf Brother with the Falcon Tech?
So is there still a falconry discipline was the question. Which it was pretty hilarious. It was a falcon who flew off and scouted the map for you, or he brought back food for you, which I don't see.
Yeah.
I don't see a reason not to do that one. It wasn't on the list, right? So maybe.
All right, I guess that's it. You guys have any closing thoughts?
No. Again, we're hoping to see this towards the end of the summer.
Very soon.
We're really looking forward to at least seeing the combat ones in your hands. So then you can just start making all kinds of crazy characters with what we've given you.